Welcome. No intro today. Sorry about that. I'm apologizing because there's no way I'm doing it. And Rick has been busy, and so he hasn't had a chance to do it. So we're going to launch right into this. Thanks to everyone that's dialing in. If there is anyone that joins us eventually, we'll be glad to have you. We'll stick around after we finish the game session. We'll have a little bit of a chat afterwards. Just as a quick reminder to everybody out there, we are playing Worlds Without Number. This is an OSR title. It's a first for our group, unless you want to count Castles and Crusades. Rick, would you count Castles and Crusades as a OSR title? Not really.
Yes.
Not really.
It is.
It is ish.
Sort of. So again, we're playing Worlds Without Number. This is the game, and we've already done our session 0, wherein we talked a little bit about the expectations, what it is that we're trying to accomplish here, what we expect from the game. And then we had a wild and crazy group create the setting thing, which has just introduced an entire new language that I have had to learn in order to keep up with the names that especially Phil has been choosing.
But it's not complicating things for you guys.
It's okay to stretch. This is okay. This is good. So we're going to launch into this, and just as a reminder to those of you that haven't perhaps watched any of these in the past, when we get started, and we're going to get started here pretty quick, we're going to try to stay in character the whole time. What that looks like is there will be no out of character questions to me as the game master, and I will also try to keep in character the whole time. So I won't be asking Phil, "Where are you?" or asking Max, I don't understand. What are you trying to do? I'm going to try to avoid that. We're going to try to be in character as much as possible. There'll be a little bit of co-creation as well. That's the magic sauce, right, Rick? That's the 4D sprinkle on top of an in-character session. We'll see how that works. This is very much an experiment. I had a question, and I take it to be an honest question by someone who said, "Hey, is there a game system that you guys prefer that seems to work better for your style of play?" And I told him, not sure. We're still testing out lots of different systems and see how it works. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, so this one's going to be challenging. I tell you, it's
going to be challenging, and we wanted the challenge because we wanted to see how can we do a traditional style fantasy, especially with magic. Like that's going to be the real challenge, and Rick has taken on that challenge. Rick, you're our magic user for today, and it's going to be a challenge. It really will be.
I've got so many things here to help me with. I got little cards for my spells, and all my little write-ups here and all that. I'm overloaded, but we'll see how it goes.
So we're gonna try to have this be a self-contained adventure. Maybe we'll see where it goes. If we're going to plan to play for an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, depending, unless everyone dies before then.
Max and I are bucking for more than one session.
Okay, excellent. As am I. If I don't really poop the bed, as long as it's okay, then
I'm still willing to throw my character off a cliff for no reason.
That's right, absolutely. So I skipped over this, but I don't want to skip over it any longer. We've got Rick from 28mm RPG. You're playing our mage, and below Rick is, of course, Phil the Thrill, and Phil is playing our. What are you playing, Phil? It's an adventurer.
An adventurer. He's like half warrior, half elite or thief guy, half skilled guy.
Excellent. And then, of course, Max from Reactionary Principle Gaming with Max Boivin, and he is playing a Paul Vinus. And Paul Vinus is what, Max?
I'm also an adventurer, but I'm half warrior, half mage, necromancer.
Excellent. So this is really good because we have a dedicated mage, a high mage, and then we have 2 of the adventurers, which are a sprinkle of your 3 core classes, the fighter or the mage or the expert. So giving you a bit of a sample of this system, and with that, I think we're probably ready to get going. Not too much of a preamble. I think we have a few people watching. Thank you so much for joining us. We hope that you'll find this entertaining as we try our best to play Worlds Without Number. Any comments or anything else you think we should say, Rick, before we get going? Game.
Some people may have a question, like, like, how do we talk to you in the game? We communicate through our actions. So if I have a question to Crispy, which I don't directly address Crispy as a game master, he has to listen to what I'm saying in my action to realize, he's asking a question.
Yep.
So it's to keep everything within the flow of through the eyes of myself, or the eyes through Phil, or through Max, and that's how we try to keep it. So we're trying to stay in character all the time. So just to let you know, that's how we do that.
Hopefully, as you watch this, the world will start to make sense as we interact with it. I'm not gonna exposition dump. That's boring. No one wants that, least of all me, because I will inevitably mispronounce half the names. So we'll let we'll let the players take it from here. Anything to add, Phil or Max, before we get started?
It's my first time in an OSR game, so I'm sorry I'm gonna mess up.
Oh no, it's. We'll fix it in post, so to speak. We'll talk about it afterwards and see what happens.
Yeah. I played OSR, never played this particular one. What was the number? And there's like significant.
Great. Anyone who is interested in the setting, I would recommend that you take a look at our session 0. The setting was created in that session 0. So we'll be using some of the terms from the game for those of you that are familiar with the game, terms like the Aratu. But if you're not quite sure, again, the session 0 will help out a lot. Okay. The sun hot overhead, merciless, bakes a small encampment. Tents providing shade where they can. A few small trees bent over, cooking in the merciless heat. Small wisps of sand taken by the wind as it blows through this nomadic tribal area. 2 horses ride in with a man wearing orange and tan robes, and with him another man, a shiny black cat on his shoulder as they ride into town. The nomadic tribesmen here are expecting these visitors as they come in, and one of the tent flaps opens. The man that they have come to find is here to greet them.
Put my hand up.
Paulus, that looks to be our man.
Raise my hand up as well. You Murak?
Feeling the heat of the sun beating down. Say, it's Maruk. Come into this tent. We have much to discuss.
Dismount.
I shake the dust off my jacket. I head toward the tent. I bow a little bit in front of Maruk.
I tether the horses together and proceed in. Quite the place you have here, Maruk.
It's a very not a very humble camp or tent. There's a very nice rug laid out on the bottom, keeping off the sand. They say, only a temporary shelter. Please have a sit. Would you like some water? You must be thirsty from your journeys. Already pouring.
Nods. Yes, please.
A shiny black cat drops to the floor of the tent. Walks right up to Maruk's legs. Butts his head. Looks up. Starts purring.
Some for your friend as well.
This is Horacio.
Horacio.
That's right. My name's Horacio. and I'm thirsty.
You don't need water, Horatio.
Just quietly, like, put
You
the
ride like a donkey. I definitely need water.
If you don't
quietly
mind.
put the bowl down in front of the cat. Say, first time I've seen one of these before.
Purrs, starts lapping up the water. Mm.
They're more a curse than a blessing.
Sits down and gestures to 2 oversized pillows nearby. Sets the cups of water on a small table in the center of the seating area.
I proceed towards one of the pillows, observing all the interesting trinkets in the vicinity here. Yes, so we hear you are the one that can guide us through the deserts.
I have heard many things about your purpose here. Perhaps you could allow me the luxury of hearing it firsthand. And I pull a rather large hookah pipe over, sit it in the middle of the table, and start puffing on it. Offer a hose to
Oh,
the
yes,
man in
definitely.
black.
Thank you.
I took off my my riding coat. I go sit next to you, next to the table. I wave at Horatio to come join me. I
What
take
was
one of the
your-
Satisfied, satisfying
was-
his thirst, the cat jumps back up onto your lap.
What was your name
Stretches out.
again, sir? Talking to the man in black.
My name is Paul Venus, and this is Lord Alaric.
Nice to meet you, Merg.
Pleasure is mine. May the wind. I hope the wind was at your back on your travel here.
Yeah, the air around here is quite dry, I must say, but we can tolerate it.
Yes.
So yes, you were asking about our situation. As you know, the deserts are encroaching on our lands, and which has brought us here. You know of the concerns we may have. Might be beneficial for us to work together to find out what is going on with this Aratu.
Interesting. And how do you intend to stop the desert from expanding into more of your lands?
Well, my former overseer, he was the grand visor of the king before I took over, and I had journeyed with him long ago when I was a youth to the center of your lands, where he had pondered this incredible sight off in one of the ruins. Now, it has been a long time since I've ever been in this region. Therefore, we need your help. But what he had seen and what he had gone under incredible lengths of study since our return to our lands, he has pondered over many scripts, many ancient texts, and he says that there is something there that we must stop, a tear, something of a rift into another world, perhaps, which we must mend. This is what is causing this Aratu, the deserts, to spread and to take over our lands.
The journey into the center of the desert is no easy trek.
Yes, just coming here was a challenge for us. We're not desert people, so that's why we need a guide.
You feel you've already been challenged. You know nothing of what's to come.
Just take a big puff on the hookah, blow it out.
It's kind of I'm looking over at Paul Venus, sizing him up. You're strong.
Yeah, I can hold myself. For lack of knowledge. I can speak your tongue a bit.
Hmm.
That came in useful. But I don't know the sand.
And I speak in that tongue. The Najima's tongue. I say, you trust this mage?
I reply in the same tongue. He's been good to our king. He doesn't seem to have the same nefarious agenda as other eye mage.
Look over at Alaric, trying to find any hint of recognition in his eyes. I look back and I say, mages are not trusted here.
They shouldn't be. Most of them.
There's shouts outside the tent. In
Sit down.
riders. A head pops in, parts the tent, speaks in Najimi, and says, "The Sultan's men, they found us. They've come to recruit for their army. What should we do?" And he bows deeply to the in a heavily accented trader cant. "Apologies, honored guests. Apologies."
Find somewhere to go. And I look at the other two men. I say,
He nods.
the king's men are here. And I don't know if I need to, or the sultan's men are here. I don't know if I need to tell you. Stand up. Grabbing a sword that's sheathed off of a weapon rack. Attaching it to my belt. He does not want to see the end of the desert.
I get up as well, take back my riding coat, put it back on. I say, this levy of men is a problem for you, as I understand. It's also a problem for us. In that
Good.
we align.
Look at Alaric, and I say, I will take you towards the center of the desert, but we must ride.
Very well.
Hoofbeats loud outside the tent as 3 riders ride into the center of this small desert nomadic camp, now apparently empty, with just the flapping of heavy canvas, no other signs of life. The lead rider brandishing a scroll that he opens. By order of Barak Sadif Zaman, I call into conscripted service all of the fighting men of this
before he
tribe.
gets a chance to, before he gets to finish saying conscripted, or right at this moment, I chuck a dagger through the decree.
As soon as I see that, I
Roll.
look at Alaric. And I say, my friend, it's time to earn that trust. And I draw my sword.
Roll shoot for the dagger. Failure.
So the dagger whizzes over his head, and I just yell out, "We do not acknowledge the Sultan's authority over our lives.
The 2
The
riders.
Najim are free to do as they wish."
Elric calmly gets up off the pillow and heads off to the tent flap after Polvinus.
3 angry-looking riders one holding a scroll open, glaring at the tent. Two other riders pulling long curved blades from scabbards, also on horseback. Their mounts dusty with the sand of the desert.
Let out a shrill whistle and draw my own sword as a magnificent dark gray horse, stallion. I don't know horse terms. Horse rides up to the tent, and in one fell swoop, I grab onto the saddle and swing my leg over, and I say, "The Dana Radi shall be done." And I begin to ride in a quick circle and ride off into the desert.
I quickly go to my horse. I mount. I call, Horacio, we're leaving.
Horacio runs up, jumps on the back of the horse, right onto its haunches. The man in the middle. You foreigner. Where are the people here, other than that insolent one who'll pay for his sacrilege to his holiness, the Sultan?
I reply,
Where are you
Naji.
from? What is your business here?
I reply, Naji. We came to this camp. It was deserted already. Your business is none of your concern.
Oh, but it is my concern. And we could take your, it looks like you could be a good addition to our army. He looks over.
Elric comes out from the flaps and says, in fluent Najia as well, "Dear sir, we are in service of the King Leopold. We do not abide by your conscription."
He spits into the sand at the mention of King Leopold. That child? You swear allegiance to a boy? And they laugh, all three of them.
When the boy has such powerful allies as such as I, yes. Pull forth my hands in crackling energy. "Do you wish to test me?" He says in a booming voice.
Their steeds all panic. Arcane power gathers around in the air, crackling. The sand swirls. They fight to keep their horses from bolting.
I release.
I move my horse like a step toward them, sword in hand. I tell them, do not rush your sultan. War is not ready to take on yet.
After I notice that the guards aren't chasing me and the other two are holding their ground, I turn my horse around and I trot towards it, just witnessing Alaric in wonder as I
motion behind the tents, concealed in the sand with their garb easily spotted to a trained eye. The nomadic warriors of the clan are circling quietly around the three men. One stops, raises his hand, looks in your direction.
I just put my hand up, not signaling. They're signaling for them to hold.
He closes his hand into a fist, and all motion stops.
Like this. Trotting up.
You should be leaving now, gentlemen.
Horatio jumps up on your shoulders. Oh, you're always good at making new friends, aren't you?
I learned from you, Horatio.
At the sound of the cat's voice, all three men are startled back. They say, "Witchcraft!" They put heels to their steeds and bolt out of the nomadic camp at a full gallop.
I look at
Elric
Horatio. I say, well, that
laughs.
came out. That worked for us. But, pretend to be a cat sometime.
Oh, that sounds so boring. He purrs and starts licking his paws, wiping the dust off.
Approaching
say-
from behind them, and I say, sorry, they usually chase me.
We had everything under hand.
So you did.
Okay.
Most impressive.
Yeah, it's
Elric.
not in the habit of Viteri to run.
The desert should be your friend here.
A woman approaches.
Makes a savage
six children in tow. The rest of the camp starts coming alive from where they were hidden. A woman approaches the mighty gray stallion.
Hop off my horse. I say, Hoshi,
She
what are you doing
nods.
out? You're 6 weeks along. And I put my hand on her belly.
She rests her hand on it as well. Yes, but those men from the Sultan, they'll be back, won't they? And she looks over at the tallest of the 6 children. And they'll take him. He's of age now,
Kito, come here. Calling over the largest of the boys.
Yes, father, he says, in Najimi.
You must be careful around these men. They will take you.
His hand falls to a dagger in his belt. I am ready.
You're strong, my son.
I will
But
fight
you're all-
those that pervert the eternal wind.
But these guards will not come for your little brothers and sisters or your mother. But they will use them against you to encourage your cooperation. When you see them, it's best to hide with the other men. And
But
I
he
wave my
starts
hand to signal the hidden soldiers.
They rise, sand falling from their hot weather clothes, perfectly camouflaged in the desert.
Nasir, come here. Calling to one of the men.
He comes in at a run. Yes,
Kito, listen to this. Listen to Nasir. He will keep you safe while I escort these men to hopefully an end to this conflict.
they are here to take care of the Sultan.
Best not to spread. But information is best kept in as small a circle as possible. Nasir,
As the wind blows, he says,
it's to keep you. It's to protect you.
'tis better to act with wisdom, but act. He clasps your arm.
Clasp
I will
back.
take care of them. We'll head towards the. Where shall we head?
Best to keep the information to yourself.
Yes, that place. That's where we'll go.
I clasp his arm and I say, "May the Dana Radi be at your back."
And you, brother.
I put my hand on the small of, or the nip of the neck on my son. Bring him in for a hug my wife. We share a
whispers.
moment.
You have a moment as in a whirlwind of activity. The tents that make up this small clan are quickly broken down. And in moments, it's just the desert sand and a group of people ready to move out.
Sitting on my horse, I take my water skin, I drink a little sip of water, and I visibly kind of gauge the volume of water I have left. Then I
It
put it back.
sloshes around. That water doesn't taste as good, Horatio says.
Horatio, for you, it's a luxury.
Well, you
No.
carry a lot of water.
I mount my
Claws
horse.
Slightly dig into your shoulders.
Not at me, you make you vanish, Horatio.
No humor.
Mount my horse behind Alaric.
I mount the horse, head up, pull out the staff. All righty, Maruk. Show us the way.
Sun is getting a little lower in the sky. I point at a star that begins to peek from behind the sun. I say, follow that star until it's time, until we can't ride anymore.
Traveling at night in the desert seems to be the way to go.
Unfortunately for us, many dangerous predators seem to share that sentiment. But it is definitely preferable.
The Great Mother protect us.
I jingle my reins, urging the horse forwards.
I follow suit. Signing Maruk to take lead.
Just riding along.
It's a beautiful beast you got there.
Trying to ride alongside the other two. So we keep like a 3.
Off in the distance, in the same direction which the 3 riders had taken when they left with alacrity from the nomadic village, some campfire smoke wafts up into the almost cloudless sky. The horses managed just fine along these old trade routes, long dried out riverbeds and creeks, as the horses continue at a comfortable pace. But it's hot. The sun is merciless. The shade is very few. Flies from time to time swarm around, causing some consternation to the cat. Why couldn't I be a white cat? It's hot.
If we were doing this in the heat of day, you wouldn't be privileged enough to talk about it. Fortunately, during the day, we can take one of the underground routes.
Underground.
Those routes.
Yes. Not as much traveling to do, but it'll be so that our day isn't wasted.
Very well.
And there's water.
I heard you guys, I know I'm not bothered by things like sleep, but I know you guys need to rest. So you can find place in the day.
The heat shimmers on the horizon, creating the illusion of standing water. But up ahead, a small oasis, a few trees, hanging lazily low, their fronds of their tops drooping down to touch the ground.
That's
A
what
few
they are.
black forms circling overhead. Notice, please, guide. Failure.
Blinded by the sun.
Alaric. Carrion birds circle high overhead, riding the thermals above the few trees here.
Looks like the vultures above, hinting towards possibly a fallen or someone fallen.
The gray steed snorts, tosses its head. Horatio,
Nothing to be afraid of. Someone joined back with the Great Mother in our embrace.
there's something else, Horatio says. Some other smell on this wind.
What is it, Cat?
It doesn't smell like you people. Horatio jumps off your shoulder, and then with a leap across to the other horse, riding abreast, she goes right up to the horn of the saddle in front of Maruk. No, it doesn't smell like you, but
My horse. Say, there are many things living in the desert. We can check to see what it is.
We need to
If
water
they're
the
carrion
ore.
birds, it's most likely dead.
That's right. I
Horse
agree.
dead,
We
like
must water the horses anyways.
It's probably best to find out what died nearby in case it spoiled the water.
stepping from behind one of the trunks of these few trees, the small copse of trees in this baked desert land, a man wearing a turban and a oddly olive skin, greenish skin steps out. Yes, there are some things that have died nearby, human. Perhaps you want to join our cooking fire.
I stop my horse and I say, we're just here to water our horses. We're going to be on our way.
Those
What
are
are you
nice
cooking?
horses.
Like stabilize my horse a little bit.
The horse snorts again, paws its front hoof, pawing at the sand, wanting to move forward. Horatio jumps back
Easy, Mirash.
to Paulvina's horse.
I whisper to Horatio, go over, count how many of them are there. Come tell me back.
The
What's
black
for
cat
supper, Anakin?
darts off the horse and rushes around. Well, there's meat on the menu.
You're mistaken.
2 more men, similarly garbed, come out from behind the trees. Blood stains some of their clothing. Some flies buzz around.
I put my hand up. And I say,
More
"If the-"
slaves.
I put my hand up and I say, if the wind wills it, we can kill each other. However, there is enough water here for all of us.
Yes, there is enough water, he says. We're more
Then-
interested in you.
Elric says,
Blades
enough of
rasp
this.
against scabbards as they pull out their blades.
Elric positions his hands. A massive energy bolt starts coming forth and invigorates the man speaking to us.
He rolls.
And I draw my sword.
As the arcane energy splashes over him, he howls enraged and in pain.
21.
Oh. Ooh. Failure for me.
The bolt tumbles across him, searing his skin.
He howls enraged and then with surprise looks down at the massive hole in his chest cavity. He stumbles forward slightly and then falls on the ground. The two with him are more than surprised. One of them drops his sword. The other takes a few halting steps back.
I put my hand up and I say, perhaps the next in line will talk to us. There's enough water here, even more now for all of us.
The one that dropped his sword stops. The one that's still holding his sword takes one tentative step towards you, sheathes his sword. All a misunderstanding, he says. Manacles dangle from his belt and behind.
I get off my horse, I put my hand on my sword, and I walk slowly toward the guy. So you should have listened when we talked.
He nods.
I hop off with the spring in my step.
Horatio comes darting back, weaves in between Paul Venus's feet. There's two more, he whispers.
I hope your friend that are still hiding saw what happened and are going to be wiser than your leader there.
The one that's been talking looks over at the other. He nods. A sharp whistle is made. Two men who are sneaking along in dunes, trying to get behind, perhaps, stand up, and then start moving back towards the far side of this small oasis.
I lead my horse up to the oasis, and I got my hand up. I look over at the orc, or the Anakim that's been slain. I say, my goodness, what a way to go. Can you imagine having your heart burnt out? Some sort of magical spell? And I bring my horse's head down so it can begin to drink from the water. The Dana Radi takes him on to his next journey. Now, hopefully we can all go on our own way.
I maneuver my horse closer towards the oasis, following in behind our new found member, Maruk, and proceed to let my horse drink.
The Anakim break their rudimentary camp quickly. There's a small fire burning just a little ways away from the, like 10 feet away from the water source, this small spring of water. A few plants growing around the edges of this spring. They have horses in behind. They gather up the horses, of course, one riderless. These bandits aren't sticking around. They mount up and ride
I think we'll
off.
be seeing them again, he says to Maruk as he continues on, dismounting his horse, dipping his water skin, fulfilling it.
Yeah, I brought my horse to the oasis as well, filling my water skin. I tell Eric, hopefully if we see them again, they have learned a lesson.
You do. I'm filling up my flask and pulling the bridle down so that the horse, or so that Mirage knows to drink from the water. I say, you do make an impression. I don't know if they'd be eager to mix words with you again. Peer over at the flame, see if there's any meat on the fire, or what it looks like.
Roasting on the fire is a scaly limb, a decent size, like two large ham hocks, but with a blackened lizard skin that's split under the heat of the fire underneath. The meat is on a skewer with with a small stand so that the meat could be rotated by whoever was tending it.
I
look at Alaric and I come close to him. I put my hand on his shoulder. And I say, my friend, my sword would have done for those kind of like rubble.
Oh,
Save
yes,
your energy.
definitely. I thought it would be more of a statement this way.
It certainly was. And I move toward the corpse that they left behind. I close his eyes. I crouch over him, and I say a little prayer to the Great Mother for her to take him in his embrace.
Horatio watches sitting as cats sit next to you. When you finish the prayer, Horatio says, "You really think the mother wants that? It's an ugly one." So
The mother
paws
takes all.
at the face.
Horatio, that's the only fairness we have in life. The mother will take us all one day.
Well,
She loves
maybe
all
you.
children.
It smells terrible. Something just bit me.
Yeah. Full of flea.
Horatio climbs up, perches on his usual spot on your shoulders and looks down, burying his teeth at the sand where shiny black beetles are emerging from the sand and crawling towards the corpse of this Anak. There's crunching sounds underneath him.
I take a step back and I look at the spectacle of the desert like reclaiming the flesh.
The scarab, it speeds along the Dana Radi by disposing of unwanted filth. I walk over towards the fire and say, their mounts are typically reptilian. This may be from that, edible, perhaps.
You
Would
think
you
they
like to
stole
try?
someone else's mount? Yes, I'll take part of this meal.
Cut a little piece off. I say, it's a little slimy, but very tender.
Take a bite.
But also,
Not something I'm used to. I'll offer some to Horatio.
Faint crunching sounds in the background as the desert reclaims this body. The vermin crawling all over it, devouring it. An unexpected boon.
Elric turns over and says, looks like the Earth Mother is listening after all.
The
Under the
flesh.
shade.
This is only the flesh. The spirit is long gone. The flesh gives life to the next life form.
Oh, come on, mage. Don't get him started, says the cat.
nothing is wasted in the
sun
desert.
starts setting alarmingly fast in the desert. The temperature starts to drop as the shadows get longer underneath the trees. There's an angry caw of some of the vultures as they land and fight with the vermin to try to get a few scraps of food, staying clear of the small cooking fire.
Nonetheless, it's best not to make camp around these types of bugs. They don't make for very comfortable sleep.
Well, then perhaps we should keep our heads to the wind, head on towards our destination.
Yes, let's make the best use of the night. And I go grab my horse and mount it. Gentlemen,
I slice up some of one of the large hawks. I leave the other one. As kind of call out, "I'm leaving one for you."
The chittering sounds, a few more adventurous birds hop over, anxious to get their fill.
Take it off. Don't hear the orcs, so I just toss the hawk away from the scarabs for the birds.
They caw and gather around, flock around it. getting as much as they can before the sand comes alive with shiny black and iridescent shells of beetles as they rise up to take this meat and crunch it down their mandibles.
Lots of
The
life.
stars are brilliant as the final rays of the sun go crest the dunes of the Najm Desert, and the temperature at first so incredibly hot now starts to cool rapidly. The horses move easier in the coolness, only stumbling somewhat with the uneven ground.
Best to take care of this, to take advantage of this hour. You can run your horses a little faster before the cold gets too hard.
Turn toward
Perhaps.
Horatio.
Pick up the pace of the horse.
I said that's probably gonna suit you better as well, my friend.
I maneuver my horse closer towards Pulvinus. Horatio, let me see that wound.
Horatio jumps over from one horse to the other, crawls into your lap, holds up his paw.
Pulls forth, say, this satchel of ointments and ingredients. Takes a look at the paw.
He sniffs
Says-
inquisitively.
I look at Alaric doing that, and I say, "You know, he's not a real physical being, right?"
You shut your mouth, Horatio says. Let the
Okay.
good man do his work.
I'm
You just
doctoring
like
him
the
up.
attention, Horatio.
And so what of it? He turns back. Please, mage, continue your work. He starts hurrying.
All this talk of the Earth Mother, yes. It's working away.
Just keeping track of the sky, the stars. We'll be close to one of the first deeps soon.
Deep? Are those like the tunnel you're talking about?
Yes.
We can get there before sunrise?
Oh, yes. Should be there within the hour.
Within the hour?
But we have to sleep, as you said.
How do you recognize this, how do you recognize the landscape around here? It's so impressive to me.
The oasis, the positioning of the stars, and just sort of an instinctual feel of time comes with
Horatio.
life in the desert.
Horatio looks up at Alaric. I can never anticipate what interests that man. Why is he now interested in that? What is this? This tastes a little like he starts licking the ointment off his paw. What is that?
It's part of Grumman powder and 3/4 of the Zim tree.
On the dunes in the moonlight, they're just black, the absence of stars. Motion on the tops of the dunes, moving quickly in darkness.
Did you see that?
I think I've got a glimpse of some movement.
Alaric, I touched the side of my temple. My eyes glow, using a bit of effort to investigate, seeing through the night very easily. I scry the area.
The darkness of the deep darkness underneath the stars, the moonless night of the desert peels away, revealing the intricacies of the dune, and more than that, riders moving quickly over the dunes.
Ooh.
Their forms unlike horses, low to the ground.
I concentrate further, pinpointing any potential magic on them.
faint auras come from the riders themselves.
Excellent. We have much of the Aratu on lizard back. Say to the rest.
Do you know how many there are?
I count.
The heads dart in between the dunes, sometimes silhouetted, other times hidden behind, paralleling your fast trot towards this deep entrance. To the north, 3. To the south, 2. But their numbers they change positions.
It would
To
be
the
best
north.
if we go quickly towards the deep. I just start. Yeah, I start like riding quickly down this desert.
I urge
I
my
urge
horse.
as well. Yeah, I urge my horse. I said, let's go, Alaric. Let's follow the guide.
The horse's sand kicks up behind as your glowing eyes reveal the dunes are coming. This small ravine that was guiding towards the entrance to this deep is coming to a choke point up ahead. There, some large stones appear to block the path. Emerging from behind the stones, a much larger lizard appears. On its
Ambush.
back, a larger
Call out.
I pull back on my horse.
The large lizard calls, raises its thick muscular neck. Its toothy maw opens wide and tears the stillness of the night with a horrific roar. Answering calls come from either side.
Best to engage one of the sides. I pull the horse to the left and start beelining towards one of the surrounding groups.
Roll your D8 for initiative.
7.
I follow Maruk.
The horses move quickly.
Pull my sword out, grabbing a green rag, a golden colored rag from a pouch, and I slide it up the edge of the blade.
Yeah, I go toward where Maruk went as well, close to the rocky side, so I can put the rock on my back, and I quickly jump off my horse and pull my sword.
Without rider, the horse is unsure where to go, sees an opening, and then takes off towards supposed safety, leaving you there.
I follow the horse to gain control of it.
Taking you further away from both Paul Vinus and Maruk. You see with your glowing eyes these creatures now. Some lizard looks very dangerous. Its sharp teeth snapping. They're half the size or height of your horse.
I maneuver away, trying to avoid the situation. My goal, the horse. It's my riding skill. Ooh, 12.
Through lucky, just luck perhaps, or skill, the reins of that loose horse flash in front of your eyes. With your glowing eyes to see in the dark, the reins slap into the palm of your hand. The horse comes immediately under control, but still nervous as these lizards hunch down and start moving as predators on either side, flanking the two horses, you and the 2 horses. 2 riders now. They pull out short spears, the tips of which glow slightly.
riding full speed towards these Anakim. I'm gonna swing at them with my sword. I get
War cries call out in their language, guttural sounds from the mounts as they call to each other.
just like silent coming through them. Gonna swipe through them.
Failure.
And deflect off of one of the spears of the desert Anakim. Riding through.
The two forces, the three on your side, the two near Alaric, and in the middle, Paul Vinus, with the large lizard now thumping its way down the ambush side towards him. The three riders go blazingly fast past Maruk, then skid to a halt, turning to attack Paul Vinus.
I move toward Alaric, and I'm muttering a little prayer to my in my hand, calling the Great Mother. Please grant a little death, sleep to those enemies. And I blow in my hand, and I open it. There's a little gray smoke fog enveloping like the tree. Anakim around Maruk. Turning them unconscious.
The three Anakim and their mounts all drop to the sand. The mounts breathing regularly and smoothly. Their riders sprawled haphazardly over their rough leather saddles. None of them moving.
Turning my mount around, and I'm just like, my sword drops to my side. I'm just watching in amazement at these wonders.
The large lizard that was moving towards Paul Vinus roars again, shakes its head, and then puts its head down as it starts to pick up speed. Alaric.
I am heading towards Paul Vinus with his horse in hand beside me, trying to avoid the lizards.
The two lizards, seeing an opening, both snap at the haunches of the horses. The one that you're leading, Paul Vinus's horse, takes one failure.
Whew.
The other jaws snap. It nips at the horse. Opening up a small cut on the horse's hind. The horse whinnies in pain and then jolts out towards Paul Vinus, away from these two creatures that keep up with your retreat.
Yeah.
Paul Vinus.
I ready my sword for the charging monster coming at me.
The distance is closing fast. 20 feet, 15 feet, 10 feet. Sand getting tossed up in the darkness. It's
I tried to
almost
sidestep him and slice at the head of this monster.
Roll.
Yeah, that's going to be like 26.
At the last moment, you sidestep. The momentum of this creature, easily a horse and a half in size, carries it, its large taloned feet digging big ruts in the sand, furrows in the sand. Its rider, as it goes by, takes one swing clumsily at you. Failure.
Yeah, I see like his weapon coming down. I manage to sidestep as my sword bring down on his beast. Doing a big
large
scratch.
The sword parts the thick scale of this thunder lizard. Blood gushes down its front forelimb on the side where you had sidestepped its charge. It roars again, answering cackling sounds from the other two that are still conscious.
I'm riding closer and closer, preparing a couple of throwing knives. And I toss them, trying to hit the rider. Soaring wildly
Out into the darkness, difficult to see. They
Can't
flail
see
out
anything. All I see is a silhouette that's moving quickly
underneath and then the reflection of starlight on eyes that are too big. Alaric.
Continue right.
I motion with my hand, conjuring up the scorn of feathers of the earth towards the beast, making it rise uncontrollably in the air.
It squawks.
To make its physical save.
Failure.
Rise! I fire the beast up into the air with its rider.
The rider struggles to stay mounted, fails as the lizard, the hold of the earth, it loses its grip on this massive mount as it goes up into the air. With a shout of alarm, he loses his grip and fails to stay mounted.
Proceed to drop the beast on top of him.
His hands come up at the last moment as several tons of at least 2.5 tons of lizard crushes him into the sand. The lizard, angry now, disoriented, shakes its head. Another deafening roar. Now riderless, it looks around. Gets to its feet and then rushes past the natural barrier, hopping easily onto the large boulders and then off into the night. As it flees, it calls out, answering cries from the other two, and then angry shouts in Anakim as the riders attempt to bring their mounts under control. One keeps his mount's head in the fight, while the other tears off into the night, following the large lizard.
I rush toward the goblin that just got dismounted and crushed by his own mount. I go to him, put my, like when he's still on the ground, put the point of my sword to him, look if he's still alive.
Ribs crushed into his lungs, rapidly filling with blood. He's asphyxiating.
Tell your men to leave.
He struggles at his belt, pulls out a dagger.
I press my sword in him.
And with that, one last death rattle, and he's still. Maruk.
I just amazed watching the spectacle that's happening in front of me. I kind of back my horse up and just watch these riders like run past me, and kind of just watching what's going on.
The one
Come,
that still has
Palvinus.
some control of his mount. He looks over at you, desert human. He swears at you in his own filthy tongue, and then takes off, seeing he's outnumbered, off into the dark desert night, following the other rider and the larger lizard as they flee.
Bring
Hop,
the
hop.
horse to Palvinus. Looks like we're
On the-
making friends everywhere.
On the north side of this small gully, this desert track, 3 of these lizards sleep, with their riders fast asleep as well.
Yeah, I grab the rein of my horse and I say, "Those over there are not dead; they're just sleeping. We can go finish them off."
All right.
Thank you for the
Why?
horse, Elric.
They're not impeding our journey any longer. Let
You
them
wanna let
sleep
them
the
go?
night away. It's
You're a
not
good
up to
man.
me. It's not up to me to end someone's journey.
You're a good man. You're right. It's not up to us to decide when the Great Mother call of her children.
Alaric, motion in the sand near the sleeping riders and the sleeping mounts. A shell appears. A large cockroach, 2 feet long, wiggles its way through the sand. Clicking sounds. Now more clicking sounds. And more and more.
Let's make haste. We have company.
I
The
suppose
crickets.
I suppose the Eternal Wind did have a plan. Hop up back on the horse and
back on
begin
my
to
horse
ride
as well.
towards them.
I
They'll
guess
be more interested. Those bugs can be more interested in those corpses than us.
they will be eating well tonight.
A short ride away, and a sudden scream, quickly strangled out, tears open the night. Then another, and another. As you,
I move my horse close to Maruk and I say, maybe giving them a quick death would have been a mercy on them.
the cat
As I said
sitting
before,
in Alaric's lap. You think? You think maybe?
as I said before, it is not my place to end the journey of another life.
Well, let's continue on to this cave of yours.
Seems like the desert will take care of that for us.
It often does.
I look at Maruk and I say, the flesh of those goblin or those Anakim is soon gonna turn back to dust.
As we all will. That is the way of the Danaradi. I am not familiar with your religion, the Earth Mother, or some sort
Great
of
Mother.
Great Mother.
The Great Mother will embrace us all in the end. We all are children.
Oh,
This
don't
life
get him
we have-
started. The cat says.
I'm curious about this religion. It sounds like there's many parallels with the Danaradi, but another time.
What
The
up,
deeps
time?
are no place for small talk.
So those creatures are guarding the deep?
No. It's just attracted to sounds and flesh.
I mean the Anakim.
I do not know why they were here. They live in the desert. And
Horatio.
the deeps are a source of water.
Well, their mounts smelled a lot like that meat that you were eating before.
Yes, that is the meat we were eating before. They were eating their own mounts, which leads me to believe that they were in dire circumstance.
Well, they had found some horse.
That is true.
Maybe they
Up
prefer
ahead.
the horse.
Another pile of rocks, large rocks in between the shifting sand dunes.
Over here. towards the rocks.
I get that you might need to sleep soon, my friends. This was a long
Yes.
day of travel.
It has definitely been. But we can proceed on. Should be fine.
Should we be safe fish to sleep in the deep? Near the entrance, maybe.
Perhaps Maruk?
Cuts off more directions of attack. Easier to keep watch,
I can see that.
but watch
All right.
we must keep.
The large rocks, upon getting closer, have right angles cut in them, like they were large blocks of a much larger structure, elements of a larger structure, perhaps, that in time immemorial has fallen into this disorganized jumble of otherwise unremarkable granite. But in those right angles, a small path winds its way through and subtly down an entrance.
Is that what we seek?
Yes, this is the entrance to the deeps. I dismount and begin leading my horse on foot.
I do the same, dismounting.
Yeah, I
My
dismount as
staff in
well.
hand.
I go to Maruk and say, many people know of those tunnels and caves.
The Anakim certainly do. It's one of, as I've stated, it is one of the few places where you can reliably find water, but a place of comfort and shade in the daytime is important to many things that live in the desert.
The sand underfoot gradually gives way to hardened stone, smooth as it descends down. The air is cool here, comfortable. Horatio enjoys it, starts purring. There are evidence around the entrance of other travelers who have stopped here. The entrance to the deep continues on. Faint light on the ceiling far ahead, far above the stones as this cavern extends down and down and down. This isn't cobblestone. No, seamless stone from some unknown age continues.
My hand goes over some of the area, fascinated by the intriguing stylizations of the ancients.
Up ahead, a small stone container, and the sound of dripping water as an opening in the wall feeds a small fountain. Some makeshift hitches set up for mounts. Evidence of past fires scorched onto the smooth stone around the fountain.
Maruk, is this the remains of the Ratu? The Anakim.
I began walking like I'm lost in thought, not hearing Alaric's words, looking at my at Midaj, my horse, and
Its head
giving him the ID, or we share a link together, giving him the idea that water's nearby. And we're sharing it at the same time.
He smells the cool water.
Pat him reassuringly.
He's got some of that sweat, the sweat that comes from animals that have exerted themselves throughout the day. His head shivers slightly and then steps towards the fountain of water. It's being fed by this small hole in the wall.
As if reality's catching up with me, I shake myself out of the stupor and look back towards Alaric. Say, what was that, mage?
A man of absent-mindedness.
Apologies, I have a lot on my mind.
It is all good. It is all good, my son. The remains here. Is this of the Anakim, or is this some of your tribesmen?
I do not know the origin of these caves. They say that the great eternal wind blew these caves out himself. But I am not so sure. There has been some talk of ruins deep into these caverns.
I heard that
Of a lost civilization.
I heard that this desert hasn't always been a desert. Used to be a luxuriant region, just like Viterra we come from.
My knowledge does not extend to ancient histories, I'm afraid.
Horatio the cat stretches out. And he does that thing that cats do as they get their paws out, and he arches his back. Oh, you humans are so boring. He hops down from the horse and goes over to the water, starts lapping it up. You just talk and talk.
Maybe you should send Horatio out to do a little scouting.
Enough of that, Horatio says. I'm not your plaything, mage. How do I do that?
Horatio got a mind of his own.
Yeah, such spirits are.
Far above 40, 50 feet to the stone ceiling of this underground cavern that continues on as a tunnel underneath the ground, underneath the dunes above, the slight flutter of wings amongst a bioluminescent strip that gives some light to this cavern.
Hold up. He motions it. Let me first attend to the horse. I proceed to Pulvinus's horse and check its wound from the lizards.
It's angry.
Take forth my pouch.
Oh,
I
thank
start
you.
patting, soothing it. It's
Roll
okay,
heal.
boy. It's okay, boy.
Roll heal.
Drinking out of my water skin, looking up at the ceiling.
3 hit points back.
I look at Maruk. I say, is everything hostile in this forsaken place? Looking at the bugs. Or the
Looking at
whatever
Whispy.
flying
Is everything what now?
hostile. Do we have to worry about this fluttering above us?
I like to see it as more concerned for its own survival.
I guess that's what those Archregent does, eh? Everybody's fighting for survival.
Indeed, not many niches to compete over.
Triggered by something, perhaps something that happened amongst themselves. Hundreds of bats take flight, and they stream out of the cavern in the direction that you have come, out into the night sky.
I impress a calming emotion on my horse as I put my hand on it.
Jitters, and then calms, and the lets out a tired snort, lets its head kind of drop down a little bit as it falls asleep.
I look at Maruk.
Well done.
I crouch down and I put my glove then in the water and I rub the water between my finger and I smell it a bit and look at Maruk. I say, is this water clean to drink with all those bats above it?
I don't see any droppings, Horatio says.
You want to give it a taste, Horatio?
I've already drank it. It's a little late for that.
Should be fine.
It's good. It should be fine.
You know, for someone who doesn't sleep, you're awful jittery. Maybe you should sleep, Horatio says. He hops
Somebody
back
needs
up
to be
onto your
watched.
shoulder.
Well, I definitely could use some sleep as soon as we find a spot to sleep. I get up from behind the horse, pat it, giving it a assurance.
There's a
think yours-
passage a little bit further up ahead. I would recommend we not sleep next to the water, as many creatures
well.
desire this place.
Very
A little
well.
bit further ahead, we can come back and get some fresh water before we leave in the morning or in the afternoon.
Lead the way, then, my friend.
Oh wait,
Grab my
I
horse
tap
by
my,
the.
tap my horse on the butt.
He snorts, tosses
my-
his head a little bit,
A little bit further, Mirage. A little bit further.
and then with what looks like a resigned step, the horse drags its hooves down, following.
And I take the group to the clearing up ahead. It's like a small little indention
Mhm.
to the side.
Some previous traveler has left a small amount of silage here. Little bit of food for the horses. They quickly consume it. It's not very much, but at least it's something. As the horses are hungry, at least they've been watered.
I say, rest, Mirage, here.
I add a few oats to the silage as well.
Yeah, do the same. Share like take some of the saddle bag, some feeding. Put the little feeding bag on his ear.
I have a green fruit crack over my knee, and in the inside it's white. It's got like a mound over it. The other side is like a cup. I feed the I give half of it to Mirage, who begins to eat it.
He chews on it,
The other one.
half asleep, leaving the rest for you. The night passes, other than a slight ruffle in the air when the bats return from feeding out over the desert sands. It's uneventful, quiet.
Yeah. Spend the night like mostly like hanging out with Horatio, praying, resting a bit, even though I don't technically need sleep, keeping an eye, keeping the watch.
Like all cats, Horatio sleeps soundly on your lap.
In the
The
morning.
light in the cavern, this deep, doesn't change. When Mirage stirs awake, ready for another day.
I'm leaning against him as I sleep, and then I can stir up with him. And I say, I slide the other half of the fruit towards him. Get up and begin to stretch.
He greedily crunches it down. And then
We go
paws
back to
or
the-
uses his hoof to scrape at the stone underfoot, eager to get going.
I set up the saddle on my horse, like I make sure like it's well fixed and all, even though I'm not gonna ride in the cavern, just out of habits. So should we go back them to the water source before we move on?
Of course.
I will remain here. I'm indulging in my studies.
I'll take yours.
Thank you.
And I grab the other rein. Walk slow there with Maruk.
Lapping up the water
Oh.
at that fountain are 3 of the lizards. They're riders nursing wounds. One of them looks like one of them has bites all over his arm. They hear they look up and see you.
Yeah.
I say,
I look at them from
ho,
across.
fellow travelers.
They hiss at your direction, jump on the mounts, and then spur them out of the cavern as soon as they see you.
Well, they could have finished watering their mount.
The mounts don't appear to be. They rush off too with very little encouragement.
They have yet to trust our the desert humans' ways, as they call us. Walk up to the source of water and allow Mirage to drink from it. I once again fill my belly with water.
The walls, as Alaric ponders and meditates, the strange script that is etched into the stone walls rearranges. Alaric's mind making links, deciphering the language, an old language, only shadows and whispers of which remain in the modern tongues of men, but somehow familiar. Talk of the iron pillars.
He notes
And this highway to the iron pillars.
Interesting. Goes back to his meditations.
Returning back to Alaric. And say, you really should quench your thirst before we leave. It's not wise to rely on your skin.
I have a few water skins with me. I will be fine.
Maruk knows better than to question the abilities of this creature. He says, shall we go?
I'm ready when you are, Maruk. How long does it take to cross this tunnel?
We should be through it by the afternoon.
It's hard to tell the time yet.
Maruk, what do you know of this? And I point towards the nearly indecipherable scribbles on the side of the cave wall. See, this mentions the iron pillars this way. Have you heard of any tales of such things?
No, this is a rather old tongue as well.
This could be
Recognize this symbol.
I believe it could be part Hakan, but perhaps not. There have been many individual meanderings of languages spread out from that.
This symbol certainly means the wind. That has not changed.
I look at the writing as well.
The iron pillars is what intrigues me most.
I'm sorry. As I said, my knowledge of the ancient is lacking.
I have a feeling perhaps we should pursue this.
I am but your guide and at your service, mage.
And
Paul Venus, roll pray for me.
Yes. 9.
Success.
10, actually. Yeah.
The symbols, the language of which is some unknown tongue, but the iconography around the symbols is a warding prayer. The warding prayer around the iron pillars.
Look at Alaric. I say, I recognize some of those symbol there. There's somebody that was trying to ward or defend, or like this iron pillar. There's something ominous about it.
I think this may hold some answers. I think this may be what we are looking for. This may give us some clues.
If it tells of a ward around this pillar that could have been eroded. Horatio, you know anything about that?
I reach for my saddlebags and the horse, pull out some of my master's scripts, bring them down. His big tome starts pulling it open. With his lantern, he lights and shows forth some of his master's work.
Maruk steps away from the two and is kind of keeping an eye. He's going to keep an eye on both sides of the passage, make sure there's nothing sneaking up on us while the mage works.
A slight breeze blows through the passage, surprisingly cool. A faint smell on the wind. Smoke? Incense. Incense.
Mage, someone is burning incense, I think. Or there's some
think
sort
a
of
weird-
fire.
I think a way
you-
to say, oh, I know that smell. We use incense all the time in our ritual.
Yes, Horatio says. Yes, it's one of those smelly sticks that you burn.
Yeah. This should be. I don't know. They probably don't have the same meaning here. What do you know, Horatio? What do you show, Maruk?
Well, we burn a lot of incense in our culture as well. People tend to get a little smelly. Helps keep from offending the wives.
Oh, we
You
said
all
that
smell
incense-
terrible to me, Horatio says.
Do you even smell, cat?
Do I smell? Honestly. Polvinus, are we just going to stand around here with this desert person? Doesn't know how to treat a cat.
Don't be too proud of yourself, Horatio. You're
How
supposed to
could
be a
I
servant,
not be?
remember?
Look at me. I'm glorious.
You are.
He starts purring, winds himself around your neck.
Elric, I'm still pulling through pages looking for any reference for the iron pillars.
Roll knowledge. No.
Oh, 13.
Success.
Here
There.
it is.
A scroll. Speaking of an iron tower bound behind an ancient ritual that to keep an Aratu in check.
Ooh. Hidden
Alaric.
before my very eyes, I see the light. Let's get ready.
Yeah, I hand over the reign of Alaric's source to Alaric. I say, yeah, let's do the reading a little later. We should get out of there. This smell is
Closes
having me worried.
I agree. Let's go. Puts
That's an
the
anger.
book away.
Yes, I would. They wouldn't be trying to burn us out of the tunnel. I
The
don't think.
smoke. Sweet. It's one of those smelly sticks, Horatio says.
They wouldn't do it with incense, trying to smoke us out, wouldn't they?
No, it smells like the one that you do when you're over some dead meat. You know how you do your thing. You burn some of this stick and then you say your prayer.
We're trying to ward the evil spirit off of the soul of people. They can find the embrace of the good mother safely.
Yeah, that's what it's like, Horatio says.
Begin to lead my my horse down the cave. Well, this way.
The smell of incense
rates.
gets a little stronger as you continue.
Must
Up
be getting
ahead,
closer to it.
some other lights appear. A group of people in similar garb to Maruk. They have a few candles in hand. They're gathered in a circle around something on the floor. The smell of incense is quite strong.
Najima.
A few, they
Raise
turn.
my left
Hands
hand.
fall to belts, but they see you.
I raise
And
my
then
left hand to them, exposing my scar or my brand. And I say,
There's whispers. Another hand comes up, a similar brand on the palm. Brother,
I say, what has happened here?
we were attacked. We had guarded one of the secret places, the sacred places, a Subasa, deep in the desert, and we were attacked by a fearsome warrior, killed many of us, and a mage, the Sultan's mage. Many of them spit on the ground.
As he mentioned the Sultan Mage, I give a quick glance at Alaric, raising my eyebrow.
Yes.
So the Sultan's mage is more than just a tale.
Indeed. He used foul sorceries. He's attacked the Subasa, entered the forbidden places, killed many of our kin. They part, so the wrapped bodies, remains of several of their number, with incense burning around them in a small ritual, a funeral rite of sort from the desert people. We fled. Sadly, we have failed our vows, and now we will pass into the desert. The winds will carry us where they may. We cannot stand against such foes.
The wind can defeat anything in its path.
As it can,
Everything
brother.
falls before the wind.
It's in the wind's hands now. We've failed.
It does not absolve you of your duty to act.
His head drops low.
I pick his head up and I hug him.
He
Sorry about your friend.
returns the embrace, and they all seem they've made makeshift litters here to carry their dead with them back to the desert. If you must, may the wind guide your path, he says. You will find the entrance to the Subasa about a day's travel down this secret corridor. But be warned, that evil mage and his fearsome warrior, they awaken something truly terrible.
I end my rein of my horse to Alaric, and I approach the litter with the dead. And I look at the guy and say, like, may I? And then I lean over the dead, put my hand on his forehead, and I mutter a little prayer for the soul dead to find the good embrace of the Great Mother.
Thankfully, for once, the cat doesn't say anything. Alaric.
I just watch and ponder the fate of these men, holding his tongue for the meantime for the information he needs to relay to Maruk.
Say, do not despair for these men. They are only on the next step of their journey.
We have some food we can share. So
Thank
we make
you.
for our...
I have water if you need.
There are plenty of watering holes in this unused deep,
Of course.
this ancient road under the dunes.
Maybe we can take time to share a meal, friends.
They agree. Yes, of course. We forget ourselves. The rules of hospitality demand it. They break out a few rugs. They sit down and break bread with you. Afterwards, having described a little bit about this mage, the Sultan's mage, and his fearsome warrior, the captain of his armies, they take their leave.
I look at Alaric and I say, after putting together our supplies, I say, is this Tsubasa something that you would want to see? Do you know this man, this mage?
I know of him from long ago when I was young. He was a friend of my mentor, but with recent times, he has not been conversing with us through the pigeons. We have not heard from him for many years. And this had concerned me, because he had been a friend of our empire for so long. But now, this concerns me greatly.
Concerns me as well. The Sultan's mage is merely a curse whispered on the wind. And where
I
I'm
see
from.
that with the darkness that has clouded over your men's eyes. Yes, we must do something.
To know that he has flesh is a great revelation.
Well then, perhaps we shall be the wind and hasten this.
This mage going rogue might explain a lot of what the situation we're seeing, true.
So this is your destination then, and not the center of the desert?
We will have to do something about it. If we meet up with the mage, not sure if I will be able to equal his power.
This is a big unknown.
That is true. I think we should proceed with caution.
Should we circumvent him and go see this iron pillar?
See what we can do with the iron pillar. Whether or not this is merely an answer to something that I'm pondering over all these years, and that my master has as well. Whether or not there is actually iron pillars, could it be also a way of saying things in a different language? We're going to have to investigate both. But if we do run into the Sultan's mage, we should proceed with great caution and not cause conflict, if possible, until we know furthermore what is happening.
I will take my lead from you, wise mage. But I know the way to the Tsubasa that they spoke of, and I will show it to you.
Let's proceed.
I go closer to Alaric and whisper, or talk slowly in his ear. I don't really care if Maru can hear, but it's intended just to Alaric. You getting in conflict with this other mage from your order? Would that be any trouble? What is the...
If we can uncover proof that he has been the one causing the agitation with the Aratu, then perhaps when we return with what we have of evidence, we could manage our own fate with the council. In the meantime, if this is the cause of this Aratu growing, then this is what we need to do. Find it, stop it at any cost, and then return.
One of yours being corrupted is much troubling.
That is true.
I call out as I walk ahead. Tsubasa's waters are said to be blessed. The finest water you'll ever taste, cat.
The cat purrs.
I did recall long ago when we did first meet the mage of the Sultan, he did have a rather small lizard-like dragon as his pet. I ponder if that has grown through all these years. This may be of a great concern as well.
The travel underground is easy. Miles melt away. The horses are not taxed at all as they walk at regular intervals, perhaps a league or so, half a league. Small fountains contain water that's running from receptacles in the wall, keeping the water fresh, clean, allowing for travel to proceed.
I talked to Maruk as we walk through those tunnels. I say, those places are pretty comfortable. You would think there would be a good place to build permanent settlement around. Why do people keep running around the desert?
Well, you should know, Horatio says. It's obvious.
This place is sacred to my people. We would not
Exactly, the cat
assume
says.
to build a.
And then you feel a paw hit you on top of the head. Sacred, you should know that.
It's a different customer ratio.
He yawns. Wake me up when we get there, he says.
I whisper to Paul Venus. I say, your cat is very ill-tempered.
We've been living together for so long now. I got used to it. He's attached to me. I gotta say I'm kind of attached to him as well, despite his flaws.
He tightens up a little bit around your neck. A
It can
full
be
day's
useful.
travel brings you to a slight difference in the corridor, a branch, as this underground tunnel splits, now heading north and south. To the north is the Subasa. To the south is the deep desert.
Well, the center of the desert would be this way, and the Subasa would be this way.
What do you think, Alaric? Should we go investigate the Tsubasa? Or should we keep on our main objective?
I would like to ponder upon the rift that had been ripped open, so we can see what has happened within those years that I have been away from that place with my master. But part of me wants to go ahead and question that of the Sultan's mage.
I think your first instinct is the most wise. Let's not run into conflict unnecessarily.
If I may, if my opinion holds any weight with you, wise mage, I'm very curious to see what sort of desecration has occurred in the sacred Subasa. Only so that I can know what needs to be repaid.
You are a guide or a friend. Maybe we should humor you on that.
Yeah, we will oblige you this. Shall honor this. Let's go.
Most generous. We begin to walk towards the north.
The pitch of the tunnel floor changes, gradually coming up, the air getting slightly warmer and warmer, until again, similar to the other entrance, what was most likely a larger building at some time, but now just collapsed, large cut stone, leads out into the brilliant sunshine. Perhaps your rest wasn't quite as long as you expected. The sun is blinding. The sound of falling water, a beautiful oasis full of lush greenery and trees and all sorts of small, colorful birds flit around. A ancient structure with water cascading off its tiers resides off in the distance. This is one of the sacred Subasa, an oasis in the desert, a place of life and of renewal and death. On the ground, bodies strewn, left there to decay in the hot sun. Flies circle, and amongst these colorful songbirds, vultures sit or pick at the eyes and the ears and nose and the tongues of the dead that lie all around. Their garb similar to that of Maruk, some of them wearing black turbans as well. Weapons broken, left casually around. A rumble in the distance as the gentle spring waterfall that cascades down a 5-story stone structure suddenly stops. A trickle of water coming down and a rumble that shakes the desert ground.
I'm sorry.
I don't know what that is. I'm like looking startled.
I lower myself close to the ground, holding myself steady, looking off into the distance to see if any forms moving up by that large waterfall.
Where the waterfall was, now just smooth stone building, a ziggurat, a stone pyramid rises off out in the distance of the oasis, 500 meters away, in front of a beautiful crystal clear pool surrounded by all sorts of foliage. A pillar of blackness shoots up from the top of the building. In the blinding sun of the desert, it stands as a perfect void. At the edge of the building on the top, a figure stands. The Sultan's mage. And we'll stop there.
Not good.
It's not good. What's the last part? Uh-oh.
All right, that was
Cool.
2 hours, so I thought we would probably end
Yeah.
it there on the cliffhanger with the Sultan's mage on top of the ziggurat.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Cool.
What's so hard about OSR? I don't know.
Well, we didn't have a whole lot of interaction with the system, but we did have some spells. How
Yep.
did you feel
Yes.
that went? And how did you feel about like the swinginess of?
I didn't
Of
roll
the
over
D20.
5 in combat.
Yes. But did
Yeah,
you have
you-
like
you
shock
rolled
damage? You do that?
Do you get
shock
I
damage?
do, but isn't that like AC 13 or something?
Yeah, and so it would have to.
Yes.
I rolled
Yeah.
a 4.
No,
Yeah.
that
It's
like
the
that's not
highest
how
roll.
shock damage are
Shock
work.
damage is if you miss, you still do a minimum amount of damage as long
If-
as
Uh,
the AC is.
I think
Oh,
I
it's hard.
threw
low
daggers,
enough.
and I don't think I get shock damage on the daggers.
I would. Dagger has a
Yeah,
shock.
dagger do
It
one.
does. Yeah,
Oh,
it's
okay.
not a lot, but it has some.
Yeah. Is it one?
Well,
What did you
yeah,
think?
one.
We had you playing the mage. You were able to do some spells there, Rick. How did that go? I
You're-
like how you did the effort.
Yeah, I mean it's something to get used to. I was really trying to dive into this book a lot, so this thing has been
you had a book at the
glued
table.
to. That's probably
My
why I have a
God.
little bit of a headache today, is because I've just been reading so much. So, but yeah, I dived into the books today, you know, making sure I knew what the spells were and everything.
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah, that's part of the thing about being a mage. If you want to try to keep as much mechanics out of the, you got to know what
You gotta know.
exactly you can cast. Yeah,
I thought your sleep spell, Max, was great. That was well timed. Good.
yes.
Yeah,
was-
I like
Yeah.
how my guy's just like, whoa,
Low-
magic.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
fun.
I
You know,
like that too. That was
if
good.
it had gone a different way, if we had kept our horses together, I would have probably had cast that the spell that for raising the lizard up. I would have cast it on our mounts, and we would have been flying
Right.
there pretty much.
Flying
So.
over the lizard.
That was cool. I like that part too.
But
You
it
use the
was an
feathers
idea.
to- and I was like,
Yeah,
That was cool.
that was pretty cool. And then you
Yeah.
drop the dinosaur, the T-Rex falls
Oh
on
yes,
the guy and just
I
Yeah,
need
Rick,
to have
you-
that happen.
You used magic really well. Good
yeah,
job,
that was,
Rick.
that was good.
Yeah.
That was good.
I think
Me
it's
too,
interesting
man.
also because like we like kind of like mid-level, like level 5, and this game
Yes.
goes level 10, right? So we're like
Yeah.
somewhat powerful, and I think that come out true, right?
It did. Yeah.
Oh,
You
for
definitely
sure.
That
felt
was
more
powerful.
powerful.
I think that like I didn't do much, like I didn't miss, like I rolled, like I did one attack and I rolled really well.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
did.
But I because that's something I was curious about, like seeing with this OSR, like because like I criticize like the system swinginess because just like a D20 and you had like very little modifier,
Mhm.
but the shock damage is kind of like what is supposed to mitigate the swinginess, right?
Mhm.
So auto hits, auto damage.
Yes.
Auto damage.
Yeah.
And but like it's weirdly explained in the rule, and
Yeah,
actually,
it's yeah.
like
It
the whole
is a little
system
bit.
is kind of weird in itself, and
Mhm.
Phil didn't even get it quite right. Just like he should have done shock damage probably.
Mhm.
I think
Uh,
one time, or well, I guess every time.
Well, it depends. Like if the people that you try to hit had like 13 or less AC, you would have done the shock damage, right?
So am I
Yes.
thinking of this? So just to
I guess that's
explain,
It's not linked to your roll at all.
Mhm.
Okay.
So just looking at some of the things that were going on. So at the beginning of the game, when you arrive in, this is in Phil's home, like your home tribe or clan or what
Yeah.
have you.
Our nomadic
And-
campsite.
And we had decided beforehand that we were going to start there. And then as you're having this great interaction in the tent, and I liked how you were creating the tent there and the water pipe or whatever it is, the hookah, and then I thought it would be interesting if I have the agents of the Sultan show up to try to seed that. And I was, well, I wonder if they're going to fight these guys or they're just going to talk to them or what's going to happen. And then that was really just to get a chance for Phil to explain,
Yeah, it was
or
weird.
anyone to explain. Oh, yeah, the Sultan, he's after this, the conscription thing with the thing, and you're angry at that. And you throw a dagger at it and miss terribly. But
I should have shock damaged the document.
should have shock damaged the document. It would have still
It would have been fine.
It would have been fine. So there was that, and then the idea with the slaving bandits, the different groups of Anakim. So there was the orc, they're kind of like orcs, whatever. There was the ones that you first ran into, and then there was the others, which of course, Rick, you just nuked the one guy.
Oh, well, of course.
Which was
I
great.
have to make the statement, you
That was
know.
pretty awesome.
Yeah,
Don't
that was
mess
pretty
with
awesome.
us.
And then the
Every
other
time
ones,
you
and-
used magic, it was awesome.
so a little bit about this, because this might strike people as odd. I put these in specifically for Phil because he had said he wanted them riding like these desert goblins on Velociraptor type
And I
thing.
specifically said I want floating knives.
Well, the floating
Okay,
knife is just a bonus. You get that for
Yeah.
free. But the
That's my knife.
but
I
I
threw
thought
that
these were kind of cool, and so this was something that Phil had said in our session 0. So I'm like, you know what, let's do that. And then there was one that was bigger, so
No.
that's where that came from. But that was kind of an interesting thing. The deep was an interesting. I didn't know you were going to do that, Phil, and I totally approve. I thought that was great, getting that aspect in. So yeah, it was good.
I would have
I
stretched
thought
that
I
out,
th-
to be honest. I would
yeah.
have like stayed in the deep a little longer. Like, have more tunnel and stuff like that. Like make it a little more
Mhm.
like,
Explore it
intrinsic.
more. Yeah.
Yeah, do a little
We were
more
in
like
here for like half the
game.
game.
Mhm.
Maybe not half,
Well,
but a third.
Could have
of it.
been more than one session. We could have like finished in the deep.
It's definitely more than one.
Well, there's
So
more than
well,
one.
we
avoided.
that was the other thing I thought. Well, we could leave it a little open ended just in
Yeah.
case we do want to come back to it, and
I
if
do
so,
want to come
great. Then we can see what happens. I liked your character. For those that are still with us, Max's character had a cat, like a familiar, the spirit familiar. It's actually
Yeah.
a spirit, but it looks like a cat, and it behaves like a cat. and I'm in charge of the cat.
I'm sick of that
So-
sassy cat.
And the cat's all sassed, and yeah. That's what.
Yeah, and he's being lazy. Like
Yeah.
the cat can fly technically. But it's-
Did any of you guys read any of the crafting stuff that was in there? Because that kind of intrigued me, and I was like, okay, I need to have something with me that I can, that I've crafted kind of idea. So I delved into that a little bit. I thought
that
it was
was
pretty
great.
pretty
What'd you
interesting.
craft?
I thought you guys did great. You were good, and you were good passing the turn to one another, which I thought was really good.
Yeah, I thought that
That's
was really
excellent. So like we're getting way better at that, guys. Like just
Good. Yeah, except the
It
cat
doesn't-
kept taking turns. And I was like,
well, cat.
I said cat always did.
I wasn't sure how much the cat should take. This is the
Cat-
I'm limiting
I'm just
myself to the
good as
cat.
shit. I'm just
That
good
cat and his darn forehead, anyways, right? Yeah.
That stupid cat. It's me.
well, I don't know, man. I think
I think they did.
I liked the cat. The
I
cat
did
was.
too. I
I did
enjoyed the
too.
cat because every so often I would just be like, the cat thinks that
Yeah.
this is
He
boring.
sure doesn't like that
Yeah.
religious mumbo jumbo.
Yeah, the cat is,
Yeah.
even though it's a spirit animal,
Even though it's a
this is
spirit.
silly superstition.
I feel like we really talked about our religions a lot.
yeah,
Is that too
and you,
much?
yeah,
I don't
we
know.
did.
I thought it was interesting, right? Just like
Thought it was
that
interesting,
we're
too.
like you seem to be a religious guy. I'm a
Yeah,
very
he is.
religious guy, so now we're like clashing culture. So we discuss about it, right?
I really like the part where I'm like, no, we're not killing them. And then they start getting eaten. I'm like, no, I'm not killing. Like, I don't care if that's mercy. That's not my creed.
Yeah.
Even if it's merciful.
And then I just had the desert kill them. So
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
And then they showed up again.
and then some of them showed up. The survivors showed up.
I told you. So they had a journey to go on.
But of course, they see you guys, they're gonna run. Like,
Yeah.
what is this? I'm not. They're out of there. Like, they're not gonna talk. They're just gone.
But I find
Well,
anything.
We had a lot of
interesting-
chatter in the background, so
Yeah.
Oh,
everybody's
yeah,
been
yeah,
watching.
good.
So
Let's
Yeah,
check the
good.
chat. Let's check the chat.
We'll check the
Yeah.
chat.
Hey, Justin.
Absolutely.
And I find it interesting
Oh,
because I
sounds
find like
good.
our
Sounds
character has a lot to learn from each other, right?
Yeah,
Doing the
Yeah.
meme.
well, yeah.
I agree.
It also, when you guys talk to each other, it's kind of like, in enforcing the lore and everything too. So
Mhm.
gives a good
I wonder what's gay.
Well,
Oh,
I
it's
think it was
me,
his,
me playing a mage
Yeah.
because like like I'm always against magic and stuff like that.
A lot of anti-sand propaganda.
yeah, nobody likes sand.
Yeah.
I'll edit out all the non-role play moments. What are you talking about? It's all role play.
That's something we don't do. Did we have tonight any moment that were out of character?
I'll have to look at it again. There was a couple things where I'm like, okay, I'm not sure how to do this. Like
I
when
didn't.
you were pondering Rick I was like, you know what? It makes sense that he would, like, surrounded by this. You already said you were a linguist. You have all the languages. Like, okay, so I want him to be able to showcase that his character has all these languages. So that's why I was like, yeah, make that knowledge check, and then
Okay.
trying to do these knowledge checks, which can be a little tricky.
I
in
thought you did.
4D
I wanted to
stuff.
say that. I thought you did that knowledge check really good because you described like the end of the research really well. You weren't doing any kind of second person stuff, which is really, in my opinion, that's hard to do with the lore stuff.
It is hard. Yeah.
Research. So I thought you did a great job.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. That's very kind.
Everyone did really good, actually. And
What the-
I know it was kind of a talky game, but I like that. So I'm
I like
sad
that.
about it.
Yeah.
The game I
was.
like, and I'm.
But
here
I
to
don't
have
know that
fun.
like, I guess we'll have to watch it again. But did it feel, what was the pacing like for you guys? Did it feel too slow, or did it feel like you were moving along? Like I
think
a
it was
few
a little
times there,
slow.
I was really close. You could probably see I'm really close to just fast traveling you, but I'm like, no,
Yeah.
they're still talking.
Yeah.
And
No,
if
I
they're
think-
still talking, I'm not going to fast travel them. As soon
be
as
honest,
they,
I thought it was kind of slow, but not too slow because
Yeah.
I found it was interesting because we had like character moment. Like it wasn't just like talking about the weather. We're talking about like our belief and like culture and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Like there's this whole like, it's the first session of this new campaign.
Mhm.
So
I think this that last this one was a very important thing, and yeah, it's intriguing because
Yeah.
it is a lot more involving the players instead of what you normally see. So
And you have
Yeah,
to trust your players, because
Yeah.
if
It
you
was-
can't
yeah.
trust your players, then there's no way you can do this. Like, it's just, it would fall apart so quickly. But yeah,
You have to
there was
trust the player and
a
be able
lot of
to-
like, there's a lot of lore moments where Rick was like, "Do you know about this thing? Do you know about this thing?" And I'm like, "I don't think my guy does know anything about any of this stuff." So
yeah, that was
I,
great.
I didn't.
Yep.
I don't know if you would have wanted me to like say, "Oh yeah, Pillar of Iron." You mean from the?
I was
You talking
that's the
about the
kind of thing-
tower that's in the center of the desert?
Totally
I
up
didn't
to
know
you.
if that.
Yeah.
I was either going to say it's the
Yeah.
tower in the center of the desert,
Mhm.
or I don't have any idea what the hell you're talking about.
I mean,
Yeah, I think
it's
that's
it's
Either one.
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
fine.
it's cool to hint stuff. I whenever you guys say stuff, I'm kind of writing down notes and stuff like that. It's kind of like when I mentioned the possibility that the mage may have a young, what I seen it, a young dragon.
Mhm.
I mean, it's up to Crispy to decide whether or not that is a thing,
Mhm.
or perhaps it's a dead pet by now, or
I
it's
think that you were pretty heavy-handed with the foreshadowing, so Crispy is obligated to now make a dragon.
so,
Yeah,
so you know, it's whatever
He's
we
forged you the
add.
shit out of a dragon.
Yeah, there we go.
That's all right.
Oh, it was
That's
a
good.
smaller one, right? Just like a pseudo dragon or some shit.
Yeah,
You
he was
never
like, I'm
know.
sure it's still small. Wink. Kind of happened.
Yeah,
You wanna-
exactly.
Or perhaps maybe this is the cause of the corruption of our
Oh.
mage friend. Who
Yeah,
knows? You know, it's entirely
There's
up to
all
Crispy.
sorts of ways
you
we
know?
could take that. Like, we could take that
Yeah.
as the dragon, which was originally a pet, became a corrupting influence on the mage, and that's why the mage went bad. And so maybe
You could do
Dragon-
all
maybe
kinds
there's
of
all
things
sorts of
with it.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This dragon pet could be like something equivalent to a ratio, right? Like
yes,
like
it could be.
spirit family,
There
It could be
you
a spirit
go.
animal.
because
Yeah.
they can look in different way, right?
The Battle of Spirit Animals in
Spirit
part
of
3, right?
Dude, I want Horatio to get like 100x size and fight the dragon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big wings on it and everything.
Yeah.
Black
Yeah.
wings. And, yeah.
What is? Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
But it's really
Yeah.
like a battle of spirit will.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a
But
comment
I just
here.
there's one other thing I wanted to say.
Yeah, go for it.
That I feel like you were at points trying to speed up the game.
Yeah,
and
I
then,
was. at some
but it
point.
was like in the middle of me and Max like having a conversation, and Max was like, "I'm not actually done talking."
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I
it
agree with
wasn't
that.
really you slowing it down. It was like
Yeah.
kind of Max and me slowing it down.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's fine.
Like,
I
I
mean,
agree with that. Like,
that's-
I think I don't mind the slower pace. I'm like,
I don't mind it
like,
either. I like
if
it.
there's like interesting talking, if we just
I
like
agree.
shooting shit and saying nothing, but now like there's some world building, there's some character moments, stuff like that. We're getting
Yeah.
to know each other. There's a relation that's been developing. For me, that's interesting. That's a big part of the thing.
Yeah.
We're still in character. We're
Shows
not
the
just, like,
personality.
I don't know how
too,
good
right?
it is to watch, but I enjoyed playing it.
Yeah, but we're not,
Yeah,
we're not
well,
doing
and
that
that's
for
the
an
main
audience,
thing,
right?
right?
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you're enjoying playing it, and the personality of your character is starting to make itself manifest,
Yeah,
and you're
like,
able to
there's
show
sessions
that.
like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
I
that's
say
the fun. That's the
So
fun.
sometimes,
is
sometimes like I would say, like,
establishing
you don't have to rush those moments. We don't have to push forward, right?
Yeah.
Just, like,
No.
like
No.
when it just become like talking with nothing happening and just like
Mhm.
meaningless stuff being talked about, right? And just like little joke here and there, then it's time to push
Yeah.
thing around. But when there's
Yeah.
still like something building up, right? You can let those interesting conversation going on.
I think
Yeah.
for a few lines. I don't think we're getting into a full pros and cons of both of our religions. And
No, exactly.
We're probably
Comparing
not.
notes.
And we wouldn't have that
Should
as
just be, like,
either, like,
passing
because at some point,
referring to it in events like we were doing.
and at some point you said something like, "Oh, that's interesting. We should discuss that about that later."
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's great. You know, we established something. There's some similarity.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that later, so we can pick back on that conversation at a further
Yeah.
point, but we're not dragging it on like now, right?
But I like
Exactly.
those conversations to happen through like as a flavoring of deeds. You know what I mean? Or like where we leave the bodies behind. It's like, well, that's what I do.
Mm-hmm.
I think I made a couple of system mistakes that I'll have to correct for next time.
Mhm.
I think I used morale. Yeah, I think I inverted the morale roll. I was using morale much like I'm used to it in DCC. And I think that the morale here is the opposite. I think you have to roll I think if you to break morale, I think you roll above the morale.
Oh, is that
number.
what was happening?
And so I was rolling, like when I rolled double ones, I'm like, yeah, okay, so that's failure. But now that I think about it, I'm not. I think it's. I'll have to look at it again.
No,
I think I may have.
No, I think you're wrong. I think you need to roll. Wait. No, because having an higher moral is better. So yeah, you would need to roll under. Yeah, you're right.
So I think I may have messed it up, but at any rate, it's the kind of thing that once we get more used to it, if we do stay with this system or what have you, then those kind of things are better to not fix in the game. It's better to look at that afterwards. And so there's maybe some system mastery that has to be picked up. But overall, I have to say, I think everyone played really well. And
it worked out really good.
I don't think I moved you around too much. And I think it was all right.
Yeah,
I think we should. Even though Max was drinking and I was pretty stoned, we should broadcast that little
the last minute panic
the panic
planning
session.
Probably drop a lot of like racial slurs or something.
Oh.
I don't know.
Maybe some a bit edgy joke.
Wait, you shouldn't say.
I'm not the judge for that. But
I think I was still in pretty good behavior. I don't think anyone was.
I think it was okay.
Did I drink too much?
No, I don't think so.
No. You drank just enough to give us a little more flavor.
Be interested in, because what had happened is that I felt so woefully inadequate and unprepared that I'm like, we gotta look at this again. And then we went much more in depth into the setting creation and what's going on. And
to be honest, like for people that don't know what we're talking about, like yesterday, we hang out on this, like not on stream because it wasn't live, but we recorded the session nonetheless, right? So we could like broadcast it, but we did a recording of us talking about the setting and stuff like that, and doing some world building. And I don't think we needed to do that, but it did came true a lot during the session.
It did.
And it was a very fun exercise as well. Like, just like, just hanging out and talking about this world. We're
getting the names for things. And
I got a 7th kid on the way.
Yeah, you did it. Like, you created that in the moment.
You're a busy man.
She's turning my wife into a pregnant lady.
She's begging for a harem now. So
what?
I thought it was great. And like the thing with the son, and there's a conflict there that the Sultan's going to want him in the army, and
that's cool. When you were saying that, I was thinking it. I was like,
you were thinking,
oh yeah,
on the same page.
I bet they're going after the son, and then you're like, and then the wife said it. And I was like, oh, crispy. Yeah, you're all up in my head.
That's great.
No, man, I really like this. I really like this setting, this clash of culture and stuff like that. It's different, and even though like it's kind of like more like generic fantasy, just the fact that we bring it to the desert is a bit different than like what we see like normal European stuff. And we have a local with us, and I think we're doing a good job with expressing some culture. And they're not just people like we're not even a character are just like blank slate. They all have like their we feel like they have their belief and stuff like that. I really like that.
Yes,
it's very interesting.
I agree.
Sweet. Well, let's call it here, guys. But thank you everyone for watching, and thanks for everyone else that will catch it on the replay. Of course, if you're interested in trying this sort of play out where we're in character the entire time, then please reach out. We'd love to have more people try it out. We think it's a great experience, and those that give it an honest try, I think will agree. It's quite enjoyable.
A lot of people are trying it at their home games and telling us about it.
They are, and that's how I started out, and I'm still doing that with my in-person group and having a great time with it. So,
and also if you want to do your own like fucking like stream with trying the style and stuff like that, like let us know if you do that. Do it and let us know. Like make your own table and say, you know what, that's interesting. Let's try to do it.
Try it out,
and we can talk about it as well.
Try it out. We'd love to hear how your experiences go, and we're gonna keep working at it, getting better as we go. I think, right, guys? That's the idea.
Yeah. And if you want to talk about it as well, if you have questions and stuff like that, I got my stream on Friday now when I do it. I didn't do it last week, but that's sometime live, right? Tear off your skin. So when we can talk about that kind of stuff, if you have like, I take questions from the audience and stuff like that. And then sometimes I let people on the show, not always, depend. I need to know you a bit. But and I think I wanted to do a stream about like a magic, because this is kind of like the point of this game, because we avoided magic a lot during our session, and now we say, you know what, let's lean into it a bit, right? Now like we have both two characters that can cast magic. So I think that's going to be something interesting that we should talk about, like using magic in 4D and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I think that's
I have
going
to
to be
say, I love that was
Yeah.
one of my favorite parts of this session was
I
when
agree.
you were describing how your magic was working, and
yeah,
it
like
was really
just
good.
without just saying like, oh, I cast this, right? Just like
Mhm.
trying to make it a little more in character and lean it, like, and weave it through like narrative stuff, right?
Obviously.
Uh,
Yeah.
So I think maybe we can do a talk on Friday about that. But
Potentially
maybe
a
it's gonna be something
tweaker.
else.
Sounds like
Oh
a
yeah,
plan.
absolutely. We're gonna have to pull it apart and
Yeah, and
see
a
what
tweak.
worked and what didn't work, where we
Crispy
can
likes to
improve.
do his on the sly, but maybe
Yeah,
we'll do a live one.
I'm such an elitist, aren't I? I know, it's terrible.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for my excellent players. Please consider subscribing to 28 millimeter RPG, Fill the Thrill, and Reactionary Principle Gaming with Max Boivin. My name is Crispy. You'll find me at Table Runner here on YouTube. We'll catch you on the next one. We're excited to do more of these. All right. Thanks, guys. We'll catch you later. Bye.